Hey Taters, this is Tree from treeoflogic.com. Welcome to my channel, Just Tree 411, and I have a reaction video this time. Now, I know I said I was going to upload a TikTok video, or shall I say a video from TikTok to react to it, but it looks like I'm going to do some research on that one because this is a good video I picked up. But anyway, in the process of researching, I came across this gem. I came across this wonderful video between a scientist and Richard Cooper. And this man, his name is Macken Murphy. I think that's his name, all right? Pretty Chad up in here. And he has a small channel. But when I went to his content, like his videos and his live streams and his YouTube shorts, it was full of gold. So much gold that I can react to. I said, oh my gosh, even though the red pill has died, I have gotten myself some good reaction content to a lot of their warped mentality, their warped belief systems that they want to spew on men and women, saying that men age like fine wine and women age like milk. And like when you have to bring the data here, these men get cooked. So check this out. The video it's called, this is from his channel, Macken Murphy. It's, the title is Scientists versus Red Pill. Men age like wine? What? Also, I'm going to include a Twitter thread from a friend of the channel, Rad Film Future. She also debunks this whole thing like men age like fine wine by making a thread and including some pictures, baby. Okay, so we're going to go through all of that as well. So let's go ahead and react to this video because it has a lot of juicy bits to talk about, to debunk, and to react to.
And this is another area of disagreement with us, is that I've heard you say in a couple of TikToks that you believe that men peak in their late 30s.
Yeah, I would say that there are a lot of guys that I know that have reached their sexual market peak, 37, 38, 39, 40. I mean, I know a guy that's 42 that's just, he's insane. Like, he's got really good genetics. He's loaded. He doesn't want to settle down. He's got...
Okay. Did you just hear what he just said? I know this guy who has really good genetics. You don't have good genetics, Rich. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying that you're going to anecdotal evidence instead of looking at the scientific data that basically debunks what you're saying. You're just going to, and by the way, you can't even verify this. We can't, or shall I say, we can't verify that you're lying or telling the truth. Okay, you're just basically saying stuff. But this is the reason why we have to rely on studies, or we have to rely on scientific data, you know, where people basically take the average. You cannot talk about the exception. You cannot talk about the outliers. You have to talk about the average people, the normies, all right? Like the people who, or shall I say the men who listen to you, Rich, they're not aging like fine wine. Okay, let's stop it. All right, and I love how these men want to be selective when they go against a scientist who has the data to debunk all of this. And so what he does, he goes anecdotal. But if a woman goes anecdotal, excuse me, we're not talking about the exception. We're talking about the rule. You cannot sit up here and say this one person you know. All right, this is what's wrong with you women. You women are unrealistic. Blah 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 blah. So here we have a scientist, a man, okay, who has the data and will shut all this down.
Lots of women in his life.
When do you think the average guy can expect to be peak mate value?
Well, I mean, like the average guy never peaks, you know, for being honest. You know, the average guy just kind of like sleepwalks through life in a lonely misery of very average women that don't really complement their life. Like that is the average guy's life.
Then why don't you say it? Like, this is the thing. You have to have somebody make you say the average guy, but you want to talk about the anecdotal evidence or these fictitious characters that you talk about that really don't exist. We can't even verify it. You can't sit up here and prove that they're real, but you say so. So therefore, you're giving this false hope to your audience, which are a bunch of losers, when thinking that they're going to be this fictitious character. And I like how he says, hey, let's talk about the average, because we're talking about the regular schmegular type of men who watches the red pill content, and they're just based. I hope that these losers really don't think that these these are the people that they're going to age like fine wine. I have seen them at these conventions on, well, not in person, but I've seen videos of them. Like we have saw them on the Fresh and Fit yacht party. We have seen them at the conventions. We have seen them at the meet and greet, and they sure look bad. They sure look bad.
It's not good.
But when do you think what age do you think the average guy is going to have the most options? Because I think if the average guy does the work on himself, chases excellence, becomes competent, is captivating, I know that you get this because you're a boxer and you've competed in an arena. I have a lot of respect for any man that will put his chin on the line.
Deflection. Notice how he deflected from this. He says, when do you think the average man peaks? And so Richard deflects because he doesn't want to give the real answer. And this is when I said, oh my God, this is great to watch. Richard is deflecting. He's not answering directly. He knows, based upon the data, that men peak in their 20s. All right. We're not talking about finances. We're talking about peaking. And yeah, he doesn't want to give the answer. And this is this is interesting to watch. Okay, let's continue.
And stare down another man in a fight, because I think that's an important skill and a rite of passage for a lot of guys. So I think guys should be doing stuff like this to build the foundation and build the bricks of what a man truly is, right? Like, I think that guys, if they do the work on themselves, mid-30s, late 30s is entirely plausible for you to be at your peak. Whereas with women, they can look very, very attractive in, their late 30s, even 40s. I mean, there's even 50-year-old women out there that are very attractive, but they're not as hot as their 23-year-old self. And when you survey men, and I know that you've done the research on this, or you've at least read it, most, in fact, all men, when you survey them, on a balance of probabilities, will select about 22, 23 as the most beautiful woman. And, if you show them 20 to all the way to 70, generally speaking, it's early 20s.
Notice he doesn't do this for women. Okay. It's always about, let me show you what men will pick. And this is what I love about people like, I don't know if I should call him Dr. Murphy or Macken or whatever. But I don't even know if he's a doctor, but I'll just say Mr. Murphy, because I'm going to do some research on him. So far, he seems really legit and he knows his stuff. What I notice is that Rich Cooper doesn't really share the data about women, and he's giving a one-sided view that makes it seem like it's favoring men, which is far from the truth.
Tend to pick as the most beautiful. So men and women do have different timelines, is what I believe, but you don't think that's true? You think that men peak differently?
So for me, again, it's about looking at behavior, right? So I agree with you that for some men, especially if they're, career maxing, as an incel might say, maybe they do. Yeah, maybe they do peak later. But here's just the cold reality of it. A lot of these guys in the red pill space, they're in their late 20s. They're in their early 30s. Right?
And 40s. These guys are not trying to career max. They're not trying to basically make their bodies better. They're just sitting on their butt on the computer complaining about women and on Twitter X, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Rumble, on Kick. All right. Anywhere, or on TikTok. Complain. And that's what's happening. And they're not doing anything to better themselves for the most part, on average.
Right. And they haven't really succeeded with women yet.
Nope.
And so they're telling themselves this story. I'm not saying you're doing this. You're obviously, at a different stage in life. But they're telling themselves the story. Oh, the best days are yet to come. The best days are yet to come. And it's like, mate, the best days already passed you by. If you look at when women peak in terms of you would say their sexual market value, I would say mate value. I would say that a variety of evidence converges on it being in their 20s. Not going off of what people say. It's just, when do men compete most intensely over mates, right? And it's over that group of mates. It's women in their 20s, right? I'm not saying that this is how I want the world to be, right? I'm just saying, from a cold, apathetic reading of the data, this is when female mate value or women's mate value seems to peak in our species. Who do these women select? These are the women with the most selective power. They can choose whoever they want to be with. Who do they select? They select other men in their 20s.
Oh no! Wellness check on Rich Cooper. And you know this is true because look at a lot of these so-called established red pill men, all right? They don't have a woman in their 20s, all right? If they're like, look at Donovan Shaw. Richie Cooper can't even keep a woman. So it's like, yeah, these women, if they're not trying to, I guess you could say, get their sprinkle on, if they're not trying to get their sprinkle on, they will choose a man also within his 20s, right? That's just how it is. That's on average. I'm going to talk about on average, because women prefer men that are no more than you can say no more than 5 years older than them when they are that young. And a lot of these women are not. I looked at the data. I saw a recent survey, a statistical survey to show that most women are not getting married in their 20s. They're getting married in their 30s and early 40s. So this whole thing about, women need to go ahead and get the babies when they're young, it's not happening because the women are like, hey, if I'm at my peak value, let me use it to my advantage. Let me tour. Let me get my party on. Let me get my club on. All right. Let me get my Instagram booty shot going on. They're taking advantage of their youth because they know that once they get older, yeah, it's going to decline slightly, but they're still going to be desirable. Women in their 50s are still being pursued. What are you talking about? So it's like, yeah, but men can't say that. Men can't say that when they're getting in their 50s unless they are really, 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 really taking care of themselves. Okay. And once again, that is those type of men are the exception. There are a very small number of men like that. But most men in their 50s, they let themselves go, but they have money, and that's the reason why they can get women in their 20s, because they understand that what women prefer in their 20s, when they prefer men that are close to their age, if they can't get it, if they don't have the lifestyle that can be provided for the women, then the women are going to choose the out of shape, older looking men in their 50s because they have the wallet and they have the perks that comes with them, putting up with them at that age, looking the way they do.
When they're going on a dating app, most of them are filtering out men over 30, let alone men in their late 30s. Okay.
That's true, but they do get to a point at some point where they realize that a lot of these younger guys aren't doing it for them, and then they start to expand that reach. Yep. Maybe like, instead of 3 years older, it goes to 5 years older, maybe 7 years older, maybe 10 years older.
Yeah. But
and it's not entirely uncommon for women in their 20s to date, older guys, right?
Yeah, no. Older is normal. Older is older. But hey, cope aside, I'm talking about uncomfortable truths, right? Uncomfortable truth is that men also peak relatively young, right? In terms of when are men most physically attractive? And you talk a lot about genuine desire, right? A lot of these red pill guys talk about genuine desire. It's like genuine desire as a man, you're going to be much more likely to get that when you're in your 20s, when you're actually as physically attractive as you get. So this is
look. Richard is feeling a little uneasy, like, shh. All right. What are you saying? You're saying the quiet part out loud. Stop. Anyway, like, he's getting very uncomfortable. It's not liking it. And it's true. It's amazing that these men say, women age like milk and men age like fine wine. No. All right. And for them to not even admit that, yes, women and men are most desirable in their 20s. Okay. It's the truth. But they want to give this false hope to these men, thinking that, when you get in your 40s, when you get in your 50s, women are going to start like coming after you. You're going to still look good. That's not true. It all depends on if you're going to be that old and you're unmarried, all right? You don't have anything going for yourself financially. You're working as a manager at McDonald's. You ain't going to get nobody in their 20s. You say you're not going to get a woman in your 20s. Excuse me, not going to get a woman in her 20s. You're just not. That's just a moment of Delulu. You are in Delulu land. So that's not going to happen. And that's just delusion. Wake up.
Oh man, I've had genuine burning desire, throughout my life many times, and it's.
Oh, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have.
It's obvious, right?
But we're talking about.
It's not confusing.
We're talking about the average. Yeah, we're not talking about you. We're talking about the average guy.
Yeah. Right. And you would never this Richard Cooper would never let a woman say, oh, well, me, I get this and I have that and I'm a good person, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not talking about you. They will slam a woman for doing this, right? But they turn out doing the same thing. Isn't that something?
Right? Yeah. So I would completely agree that I was better looking and, money didn't I've said this before too. So maybe.
Finish that sentence, Rich. Richard, finish the sentence. I must agree that I was better looking in my 20s. Notice how he cut himself off. He stopped telling the truth. Oh my God. See, this is what I call bad faith. These men are so bad faith. I'm so glad that the red pill is just dead. Now we just get to go over everything and clown them for the stupid ideology that they were pushing, and also for the lies that they were spewing.
Comment on this. Women have a lot more patience for a hot guy in his 20s that has a plan versus a guy that's 40 that might be good looking but has nothing to show for himself and still has a plan. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean,
women have the expectation that men do something of some significance with their life as they sort of move through it.
By the way, all of this is irrelevant. And once again, Richard Cooper is deflecting. He's moving the goalposts. Where the topic is about, do men age like fine wine? The answer is no. Now you're going and deflecting and moving the goalposts to talk about, well, see, there's some women who have more patience for a man, getting his hustle on and building up his business in his 20s versus a man in his 40s. Yeah, that's obvious. Of course, you in your 40s, you should have had your act put together by then. You should have had your business. You should have had your money up already. But if you're in your 20s, you're just getting started. Of course, you're going to be more patient. But how did we get from men age like wine, which is a false narrative, it's fake, it's a lie, to, oh, well, what about the women who have more patience? I'm like, that's irrelevant to this conversation.
Yes, I agree with that. I guess I just want to really drill down on this point. A lot of red pill guys say, oh, men peak in their 30s, men peak in their late 30s, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you say this, but, if you go on Fresh and Fit, they're like, yeah, it just keeps getting better and better for men throughout their 30s. And it's like, all right.
If you do the work, but for most guys, no.
Yeah, it's like, let's go to the data, right? Women who are, 23, 24, 25, who can choose to date whoever they want. It's like, who do they choose to date? They choose to date men who are 25, 26, 27, right? Mm-hmm. 30 is pushing it. They'll do it. 30 is pushing it. Let's say, even as you say, 10-year age gap, right? That was the biggest age gap that you mentioned in terms of dating app filters. That would be an uncommonly, just so you know, from a data perspective, most young women are not trying to date men 10 years older than them. Some.
Oof. Oh God, he is tearing them up. And this is the thing. This tears up this fantasy that these guys can sit on their butts and do nothing until they get into their 40s and until they get into their 50s. And then I think once they get there and they realize women still don't want them because they don't have their act together, they don't have their money up, they don't really have anything to offer a woman, okay? Women are the table. You're seeking her. You're pursuing her, okay? She could do bad by herself. And these men are like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me I gotta do something for myself? I gotta better myself? Like, yeah, okay. So there's that. And this whole notion of men are looking better as they age, no. Women do, and that's why we're gonna go and look at this to show. I can show you for every man that they say look good for his age, I can show you 5 to 6 women who look just as good for their age. Same age too, okay?
Will. I mean, I know some will, especially if, a man brings a lot to the table.
Let me rewind that because I got off the topic.
Uncommonly, just so you know, from a data perspective, most young women are not trying to date men 10 years older than them. Some will. I mean, I know some will. especially if, a man brings a lot to the table. But for the most part, it's like even 10 years, like that's 23 to 33. Right? That's not 38, right? So this cope, this fantasy, this story that red pill guys who haven't succeeded with women the way they expect to, this story they keep chattering on to themselves, like, oh, the promised land is coming, when I get older.
Yeah, I mean,
when I get older.
Like,
and
you're
it's
absolutely
like, no,
right.
mate, I'm sorry, but like the truth is
I
that
fully agree with you, Macken.
The best looking young women, the best looking young women are interested in the best looking young men.
Wow, that was so great.
We're talking about you.
I mean, and Richard tried to cut him off from saying that, and he kept going, the best looking women, okay, go for the men their age. And like I said, you have the exceptions to the rule that if a woman is in her 20s and she's going to go for an older man, like a man that's in his late 30s, his 40s, anything on up from there, 40s, 50s, 60s, it's about the money, baby. It's about the money. And it's about the lifestyle that you can provide for her. That's it. I think if a woman is marrying somebody within their age range, which is anywhere from 2 to 5 years, well, especially if you're in your 20s, it's actually about love, and it's about you all building a life together. But outside of that, you just delulu if you think that women, as men get older, they're just going to age like fine wine, and then women are going to want them, the women in their 20s. That's just not how it works. So let's go here to this Twitter thread by our friend of the channel, Rad Film Future, the #1 Bear fan. I think I might be #2, but here it is. So here she has, it says, men hitting the wall, a thread. A popular red pill theory is that women age like milk and men age like fine wine, when this couldn't be further from the truth. Women will inject themselves with neurotoxins, do extensive skincare routines, wear makeup, and get plastic surgery to stay looking youthful. This is true. This is stuff that men don't do. So how can you sit up here and say that men age like fine wine? That's wrong. Meanwhile, men cannot. Oh, by the way, she gets real cruel. So if you're a guy watching this video, okay, trigger alert. All right. I just need you to know that. All right. Meanwhile, men cannot do even the most basic hygiene, get disgusting beer bellies that we have to put up with. Dad bods are disgusting. And receding hairlines quick. Here's some celebrity men to prove my point. Now, I'm just going to go, I'm not going to read the paragraph, but here is Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, oh my God, was so, the chiseled jawline, like, just beautiful, handsome man. I would even say Johnny Depp looked great even in his 30s. All right. Wow. And I don't even know how old he is now, but he ain't too bad. He wasn't too bad as Captain Jack either. So I was here for him. But when I saw this picture, I was like, oh my God, that's Johnny Depp. What happened to him? Yeah, he don't look like this either. All right. And of course, we have Leonardo DiCaprio. All right. Okay, the man who basically you gotta, what is he? He only date women if a woman gets 26, he's done with her. So handsome man when he's young, very handsome. But it's all about the money. It's all about the lifestyle. When he does choose a woman, he let her know, hey, I'm going to provide you this. I'm going to pay for that. You'll never want for nothing. But once you hit 26, it's all over for us. You understand? Of course, John Travolta. I think John Travolta has a bald head now. I don't think he even looked like this anymore. I think he has a bald head. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Now, speaking of bald head, holy smokes, Prince Harry. Talk about hitting a wall. Talk about it. What happened? I don't understand. You are rich. You don't even have to look like this. For him to go from this to that, oh, it's just so depressing. It's so sad, so sad, so sad. All right. And I think this is Val Kilmer, right? Because let's see, Val Kilmer here. I love Val Kilmer and Tombstone, Doc Holliday. So yes. Now this is the biggest shock for me because as you can see, I do believe I responded to this right here with the Alec Baldwin because this is me like, oh my God. because I don't like Alec Baldwin. You all know that, right? He's a huge libtard. And he's going to more likely go to jail. But I did not know he looked like this when he was young. I'm so used to looking at him like this. Okay? Or maybe this, but he lost the weight. But I'm so used to looking at him looking like this. I'm like, oh my God. That's Alec Baldwin. Oh my God. Okay, so there's some more here. And here we have, she has a whole list of them. I'm going to stop here at Brandon Fraser. Very handsome man, even in his 30s. I think as he got into his 40s, he started to let go a little bit. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't know what to say about that. But anyway, I thought I would, because I don't have the TikTok video that I was going to feature, this is the next best thing. I subscribe to his channel. When I say his, I'm talking about Macken Murphy. And because there's a lot of nice gems on his YouTube channel. I think he's also a regular on TikTok, so I'm going to probably follow him there too. And I want you to get used to seeing him more often on my channel because, yeah, he comes with receipts. He comes with facts, and he doesn't care about these red pillars, these crybaby incels. He doesn't care about their fifis. This is Tree from treeoflogic.com. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Later, taters.